there is a distinct difference, kind of a thin line, between a control freak and a narcissist or a gaslighter. But a narcissist can be a control freak, and a control freak might not necessarily be a narcissist. So let us delve much into a control freak, or someone who is just always in control. And this mostly happens to the middle children. Sometimes firstborns, but majorly the middle children. So we're looking at a middle child. Let's say the difference in age. The one above the middle child is maybe 2 years, and then the one that is immediately following the middle child is maybe 2 years or 1 year. So look at it this way. At the age of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, tentatively up to 7 years, a child's love language is always touch. So if the difference between this child and the immediate follower is 2 years, then it means by the time this child, let's say John, by the time John or Mary was one year, there was a child already conceived, or there was a child already on the way, or when this child was 1 year, 2 months, there was a child that was already on the way. And then parents, especially women, can understand that once you become expectant of another child, then automatically attention deviates. Automatically emotions deviate, especially the first trimester, second trimester, and finally when you enter your third trimester. This child, in this case, let's say we say her name is Mary or John, will be left for some reason to the hands, or rather will be left in the hands of the elder siblings. So when attention deviates, and considering the developmental growth of the brain, the child will feel abandoned. The child will feel segregated by the caregiver, and that is the mom. Remember, I mentioned earlier in our other videos that mothers are the small gods here on earth. So if a god has rejected you, not by words, but by actions and emotions, then it means as a person, you have to create a way to survive. So this child's limbic system, or this child's stress response, becomes over-soothed. Her system or his system now starts to create survival modes to be able to see them through. What happens to these children when they grow up? If they are men, then they become workaholics, and they might end up being the favored at home because they'll work their heads off to be financially stable, because to them, they know, their bodies know how it feels to be rejected, how it feels to be alone. So the only way to feel accepted, the only way to feel relevant, they will ensure that they are financially stable. And the mere thought of being vulnerable is not in their vocabulary. So with time, they'll always find themselves with anger outbursts. They don't know why they're angry. They can easily preempt what you want to say in a conversation and respond without even listening. It is the inner man. It is the inner boy. they will become workaholics. And when they marry, they'll marry versions of their mothers or marry versions of their fathers. And for a girl who was under the same situation, under the same circumstance, will grow up to be hyper independent. These women will not let anything or anyone come in between them and their dependency. It will not be easy for them to ask for help, both genders, because asking for help according to them makes them feel vulnerable and weak. And that is something they are not going to subject their bodies to, because they know from the younger days how it feels. These people will work, but one thing that will be there in common for the both genders is crossing rivers, oceans, and seas for people who would not cross a road for them. And the moment they realize that their goodness is not even repaid with loyalty, then resentment builds in within. So coming back to the control, now these people would want to have everything going on around them. They want, actually these things, they do it subconsciously. None is consciously. So when they do this, for them this is the only way to show to the world. And this world, quote and say, is to the mother or to the father, that I am also important, that I am also a valuable member of the family. I am also supposed to be seen. I also need to be heard. So it is the kind of abandonment, it is a kind of trauma that resides within. These people are the people that will work even though they need to rest. So this category of people who are considered controls are not really controls. It is a traumatic response, and such is the trauma of abandonment. They felt abandoned. And so for them to have control over everything, especially matters, finances, or things that would make them look good to people or to the world or to the society, remember, at the back of their minds, they are still literally struggling to be accepted. They will not really take help easily. They cannot say no also so easily because they are still seeking to be accepted. And so saying no throws them off the balance. Making them lose control is one of the ways that you're confirming and affirming to them that they've always been good for nothing. So yes, one can be a control freak, which is a trauma response, the trauma of abandonment or emotional detachment, and it is very different from a narcissist.